Hello everybody, welcome back to Easy Learn. Today's topic is algebra, within which we're going to be doing quadratic equations and it's practice time today. To begin with, we've already discussed that quadratic equations can be solved using three methods, that is the zero factor property, completing the square, and the quadratic formula. I've already discussed all these three methods in my previous videos. You can check the links in the description below, go understand the concept, and then come back for solving. So today's question is, shown is a triangle with area 19 centimeters square. Find the value of x. Now as you can see that there are there's a base and a height given, that is x plus 6 and x plus 5. And when it talks about area of the triangle, then you are supposed to first of all figure out the formula for area of triangle, that is half BH. B is the base, h is the height. So the horizontal one can be referred to as the base and the vertical length can be referred to as the height. And now if I put this stuff in, now I already know that area of triangle is given to me, that is 19. So I'm going to write 19 here is equal to half times the base, that is x plus 6, times the height, that is x plus 5. Now first of all, I cannot keep on carrying this half with the entire equation and then keep solving using the half. I first of all need to get rid of the half. So I'm going to take 2 to the other side. Now 2 is in division here, goes to the other side, turns into multiplication. So I have 19 times 2 equals x plus 6 and x plus 5. Now 19 times 2 first of all gives me 38 equals, now I gotta solve this, in which I'm gonna do x times x, which is x squared. Then I'm going to do x times 5, which is 5x. Then I have x times 6, which is 6x, and then 6 times 5, which is 30. Now, make sure that you end up in 4 terms in a multiplication like this. And then we have 38 equals x squared, and then 5x and 5x and 6x are like terms to each other, so you have to add it up. So 5 plus 6 is equal to 11. So I'm just going to write x squared plus 11x, and then there's a 30 there. Now, once you have this arrangement, you need to realize that there is a x squared involved, and whenever you have an x squared involved, you must know that this is ending up in a quadratic equation. And a quadratic equation cannot be in this form. It has to be in a form like this, ax squared plus bx plus c, and this is always equal to 0. But as you can see, this particular equation is not equal to 0, perhaps it's equal to 38. So you need to do something to this equation so that it turns into equals 0. And for that, you got to take your 38 to the other side. So when I take my 38 to the other side, 38 is positive here, turns to the other side, becomes negative. So it's x squared plus 11x plus 30, and then I take my 38 there, so minus 38. Now again, x squared plus 11x, and then 30 minus 38 means negative 8. X squared and 11x stay the way they are, and then 30 minus 38 is negative 8. Now this is my final quadratic equation, x squared plus 11x minus 8. Now here's where the whole story comes into place, that what method now do I use to solve this quadratic equation so that I can find my value of x. Now you can use completing the square, you can use the quadratic formula, you can use the zero factor property, whichever you feel is convenient for you. Mostly when they're simpler numbers and when it's easier to figure out factors, you go ahead with zero factor property. But if not, if you don't get your appropriate factors and you're not able to figure out using completing the square or the zero factor property, you just move into the quadratic formula. It's kind of the simplest. You just put in the values, the a, b, c. First figure out your a, b, c, and then you put it in, and then you will get your answers. So I'm going to use quadratic formula for this one, and the quadratic formula is something like this: x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, first of all, I need to know what's my A, what's my B, and what's my C. So for A, you need to see that in the general format, the number that is attached with the x squared is your A. So here my x squared is empty, which means that there's an invisible one here. So my A becomes 1. My B is the one that is attached with the x. So my B is equal to 11. And then my C is the number that is standing alone here, that is negative 8. So my C is negative 8. Once I figured out my A, B, C, you need to just put it in the formula. So it says minus b. So my b is 11. I'm just going to take minus 11 plus or minus square root of b squared, that is 11 squared, minus 4 times a is 1, times c, that is negative 8, divided by 2 times a, that means 2 times 1. Now once I have all of that, you gotta do 11, negative 11 plus or minus square root of 11 squared, that is 121. And then I have negative 4 times 1, that means negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 8, negative and negative gives me a positive. So negative 4 times negative 8 is just positive 32. Now positive 32 divided by 2. Now I have negative 11 plus or minus square root of 153, because 121 plus 32 gives me 153, divided by 2. Now, here's where I gotta open this up. There, as you can see, there's a plus and a minus. Whenever you take square roots, you have a plus sign and a minus sign, which means that you're always going to do negative 11 plus square root of 153 over 2. That's one part. And then the second one is negative 11 minus square root of 153 over 2. That's how you take it. And that's how you end up in two solutions for your quadratic equations most of the times. You always end up in two solutions. Most of the times it's positive and one negative, or sometimes you also get two positives, two negatives, but 99% of the times you get two different solutions for a quadratic equation when you try and solve it. So that's how you get it, because there is one plus and one minus. So I'm just going to open up and write negative 11 plus square root of 153 over 2, and the other value negative 11 minus square root of 153 over 2. Now, if you check this out in your calculator, negative 11 plus square root of 153 over 2, you're supposed to get an answer that says 0.6845 and so on. So I'm just going to round it off to three significant figures, and I'm going to write 0.685. And another answer, again, you have to do the same thing, repeat the same thing with your negative sign. So once you do that, you're going to get something like negative 11.6846 and so on. Again, you keep it to three significant figures. So I'm going to have negative 11.684. I can just round it off to negative 11.7. So these are my two answers. Now, here it doesn't end, because it says find the value of x. And if you look back here, what are they asking the x for? The x is for the base and the x is for the height. Now, as you can see, we have two answers. One is positive and one is negative. Obviously, a base and a height cannot be negative 11 point something or whatever. Negative 11 here, negative 11.7 plus 6. I can't do that. If I do that, I'm going to end up in something like negative 5.7 and so on. So I can have a base that is negative 5.7, right? Which means that after showing all your working and after getting your two answers, you're going to put a cross on it, or you rule it out, or you can just write it underneath that we cannot take the negative value. Therefore, we are moving ahead with the positive value. So I'm going to write x is equal to 0.685. That's because you cannot use your negative answer as your base or your height. You cannot have a negative base and a negative height. So I'm going to move on with the positive answer. So x is equal to 0.685. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching Easy Learn. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. And if you have any questions, any confusions, you can drop them down in the comment section below.